Hey everyone, it's Riley again, and for my informative speech, I'm going to tell you guys all about concrete. So you may be asking yourself, why do I need to know about concrete? The simple answer is it's kind of like why we need to know math. It's everywhere. Concrete is the second most used substance in the world just behind water, to put that in perspective. I can guarantee that everyone in this class has encountered some form of concrete in the past 24 hours, whether you're walking on the sidewalk, in a building on campus, or even in your own house. It's everywhere. So today I'm going to answer 3 questions for you guys. Where does concrete come from? Why do we use it? And what is it even made out of? So for that first point, we're going to need a little history lesson. So the ancient Romans used a form of concrete that is very similar to the concrete that we use today. While the Romans were not the first to use this rudimentary concrete, they were the first widespread users. Around 30 BCE, the great Roman engineer Marcus Vitruvius came up with a mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater. He then mixed this rudimentary cement compound with volcanic rocks and small wooden molds to create a singular stone mass, as he called it. The combination of seawater and volcanic ash created a hydrothermal mineral called aluminum tobermite. The unique crystalline structure of aluminum tobermite gave the early Roman concrete extreme rigidity and resistance to the elements. This strength and erosion resistance have allowed the great Roman structures such as the Colosseum and the aqueducts to last almost 2,000 years after construction. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, the practice of concrete was lost, and other means for building, such as timber framing and stone buildings, took the forefront. In 1824, a man named Joseph Aspdin from Leeds in the United Kingdom patented a binder called Portland cement. He came up with the compound by burning chalk and clay until the carbon dioxide was completely absent. Aspdin named the compound Portland cement after the quarry in Portland, England, where high-quality rocks were mined. So in 1902, a Frenchman named Auguste Perret used steel reinforcing in concrete to build an apartment building in France. So this was the first instance of steel being used to reinforce concrete, which is a compulsory practice in today's construction. So the next question is, why do we even use it? So the answer to that question is because it's cheap and it's a sturdy building material. That's the simple one. The longer explanation has to do more with history. So, as the Industrial Revolution hit the United States and the need to create population centers to support factory workers was an all-time high, builders needed a cheap and easy material to use to support all that. They found that concrete worked perfectly for both buildings and infrastructure. Concrete was a major component of President FDR's New Deal, and which was building bridges, roads, and dams, all made from concrete. So a local and relatively famous example of this infrastructure boon was the Grand Coulee Dam. With a grand total of 12 million cubic yards of concrete and weighing almost 48 billion pounds, it is the largest concrete structure in the United States and is the 5th largest concrete structure in the world today. That was built in the 1930s. So despite the huge undertaking of the New Deal, concrete production actually increased by almost 25% following the end of World War II. And that is as more infrastructure came up, such as the highway system, which was brought up by Eisenhower. So the next question is, what is it made out of? And I'll show you. I have some right here. That right there is a bottle of concrete. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Riley, that's just water and some dirt that you got from a creek in your backyard. And to answer that, you're right. It is. That's exactly what this is. But this actually has 4 of the 5 major components of concrete. So here we have water, air, we have coarse aggregate, or these kind of larger rocks in here. We have finer aggregate, which is like the sandish dirt sort of stuff. And the last component, which is also the most important, is cement. Now, when all these come together, you get concrete. However, it happens under very specific circumstances. For instance, you can't do it between 45 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, or else it won't cure. And that's what, when a concrete hardens, it's called curing. So you can tell your friends that. There's also a 6th ingredient that can occasionally be put in there called an admixture. Now, admixtures, while not always necessary, can be used to alter concrete's chemical and physical properties. So common admixtures include air entraining admixtures, which make concrete lighter, water-reducing admixtures, and fly ash. So now you know what it's made out of. So to conclude all of this, so concrete is easily the most abundant building material used around the world today, with an estimated 25 billion tons of concrete placed every year. That number is actually from 2009, so it's a little bit higher now. All other building materials, including steel, wood, plastics, and others, make up roughly half of the amount of concrete used annually worldwide. It is everywhere we go, and now you have the basic knowledge to be able to look at it and say, I know where you come from, why we use you, and what you're made out of. Thank you. Have a good one.